For more historical tales, stay tuned. Did you know that history's greatest conqueror once got his comeuppance courtesy of a furry little rabbit? It's history's funniest fact. Napoleon Bonaparte, the diminutive Corsican, had by the year 1807 conquered much of Europe. In the spring of that year, he was at the height of his power. The Treaty of Tilsit was just signed. His armies had just trounced the Austrians and Russians at the Battle of Carranzabs, and so to celebrate, he decided to have a little fun. There were to be no wild boars rooting around in the underbrush, no sly foxes stealing off through the trees, nothing that would make this hunt a challenge. Instead, Napoleon's chief of staff, Alexander Berthier, a man whose competence was only surpassed by his eagerness to please, had ordered his men to hunt down and capture hundreds upon hundreds of rabbits. These were to be penned up and released in an area of the park at the Emperor's Lodge near Paris. And there, in full view of the assembled courtiers, Napoleon would have the opportunity to shoot as many of them as he pleased. But Berthier had made one grave miscalculation. He assumed that when faced with such a massive, heavily armed enemy, the rabbits would simply run away. But when the pens were opened, something unexpected happened. The rabbits did not run. For a moment, there was nothing but the confused chirping of the rabbits and the rustle of the crowd. Then, as one, the horde of rabbits charged. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is so funny about that? Well, let me explain. You see, these were no ordinary rabbits. They were domesticated animals, used to being fed by human hands, and those human hands had, for the past few days, been deliberately keeping them hungry. The rabbits, therefore, did not smell fear, only hunger. And when they saw the elegantly dressed man at the center of the party, they didn't see a fearsome emperor, only a food dispenser. And so it was that the rabbits, with not a shred of fear in their tiny rabbit hearts, surged forward in a wave of gray and brown fur. They flooded across the grass, hopping over fallen courtiers and snapped viciously at the legs of others. The first rabbits reached Napoleon, who was standing dumbfounded, holding his shooting stick like a sword. They swarmed his boots, nibbled at his coattails, leaped onto his legs, and before he knew what was happening, they were devouring his dignity, one nibble at a time. His staff swung riding crops and sticks, but for every rabbit they fended off, two more took its place. And so the emperor, the master strategist who had outmaneuvered the armies of Europe, was utterly routed. He stumbled backward, swatting in vain as the rabbits closed in. Finally, with a Herculean effort, he turned and fled for the safety of his imperial carriage, the rabbits still giving chase. As the carriage door slammed shut, the most powerful man in Europe was left breathless, humiliated, and defeated by an army of rabbits. For more historical tales, including more stories of history's funniest fact, stay tuned.